Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back once again to the ToL2 North American Qualifier 3. My name is Blue, joined today by Cyrif, and we're coming to you now back from the second qualifying game, which is going to be between Outplayed by Children and Carry Squad.
That's right, man. We're so excited to bring you the first match on stream of Outplayed by Children, as these guys are North American heroes. Really, these guys have been around the North American scene for a very, very long time. You've got Wakey, you've got Zeus, Nos, Candace, and Ostrich Eggs. They're going to be going up against against a team that we saw win in the last round, Carry Squad, that is sort of new, and we hadn't seen Carry Squad play at all, ever. And So now we're going to see them play for the very second time on stream.
And indeed, as we head into the game cameras now, we are going to see how these two comps go up against each other, and for the first time in eons, I think I can actually say that we have a game with no Guardian in play whatsoever. Neither team will be using a Guardian here. It's going to be two bulky comps.
I'm offended as a Guardian main. Double Ellie from the side of Outplayed. Double Warrior from the side of Carry Squad.
Now, I do have to say that personally, I think that Red Team's choice of comp to replace the Guardian does make up for not having a Guardian a little bit more than Blue Team's does. Blue Team's, again, they've still got that squishy player in play here, which is going to be Vixie, and that'll give them a pretty big mobility advantage, but unfortunately is going to leave them a lot weaker in the team fights. They'll still be able to have the Warrior, Puma's little sister, kind of acting as their tank, soaking up the damage that is necessary, but unfortunately, they're going to be lacking a lot of support over here on Carry Squad, which Outplayed by Children actually does have available to them because they're running with the double Ellie. There's going to be a lot of heals coming out from that, and keep in mind too, they've also got a lot of support coming in from players like Ostrich Eggs who have access to things like the Toss Elixir S here that can be used as res utilities, as well as just in general stops too with the active on it.
You know, I think that we're going to see a binary here. Either a very, tooth and nail fight, or something that gets out of control for one side here. And I think prediction-wise, I think we're going to see Carry Squad struggling a little bit against Outplayed.
The other thing to keep in mind here, too, is that we have seen Outplayed by Children. Like you've been saying, they've been around this scene for a while. There's some very prominent players on this team, such as Ostrich Eggs, Candace, Noose. They have a very all-star roster. Not to make a joke there, but Carry Squad, again, we've never seen them play in a tournament before, ever. So with that said, we don't really know how well they're going to do against this team, but we could be surprised. So we're going to find out here in just a few minutes. But once again, we're going to take a quick look at the builds here. First off, Wakey, I believe, will be playing Hambo, if I remember correctly. He's very fond of the Hambo build itself. We'll be running it with Soldier's Hambo, so we'll kind of act as the damage sponge for this team. Holbreck runes, the defensive strength runes essentially here. And then other than that, running with 00626, fairly standard trait split for this build. Zeus will be playing Damage SF Fresh Air, his trademark build. So much burst from this build. Keep your eyes out for it, because people are going to drop like flies if they are not paying attention. Power Nos, I think, is gonna... Okay, no. He's on his Power Necro character, but he's not actually playing Power Necro. I was about to say he's a little bit too crazy here. But he will be playing a standard Condi Necro build, Charon Amulet, as well as Runes of the Nightmare with 06404, taking the fairly typical split here. The defensiveness coming into play here from Death Magic, Reaper's Protection combined with Runes of the Nightmare, but still will obviously have the weakness of him being a Necro in general. But once again, we'll have a lot of the Condi damage coming out from him. Candace will be playing, I believe, a more typical Elementalist build here. I believe we'll be playing Dagger Celestial 00266, no blasting staff trait, so I believe we can expect the weapons to be swapped out to DD, but other than that, it's fairly standard. He will be the main support force for this team, as well as being a kind of bruiser as well. And then last but not least, you have O-Eggs over here playing on Engineer. Is going to be running Pistol Condi. Interesting. Along with 62042. This build hones back to pre-April 15th patch we have seen. This is a skirmisher build. It's very mobile, and it has a lot of damage coming out to play due to the choice of a second pistol instead of a shield there too. So we'll be seeing him being very useful in team fights. Probably has grenade kit, toolkit, and elixir S, and yeah, that is the case obviously, as we can see here. So with that said, that'll wrap up the comp here for Outplayed by Children, and I think we can get started with Game 1.
Alright, let's do it. Let's have these guys ready up with this young team here. I don't mean Carry Squad. This is literally a young team. But Mr. Young Zeus and company Outplayed by Children. I have a feeling we're going to see some really amazing stuff in this game.
All right, guys, and indeed, as a reminder, we're still in the qualifying rounds. We'll be starting off over here on the Temple of the Silent Storm. The second map will head over to Forest, and if a third map is required, we will be heading over to the Battle of Kylo.
All right. I really want to see a Kylo map, to be honest.
We will. The third place. It's the first game, or it's the first map of that rotation.
More than just that one. It's kind of like that's like appeasement. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, you'll get your Kylo at some point." I want to see a Game 3 Kylo. I want nail-biting action. I want it to, really. I want Carry Squad to come out swinging in this first game and really show us that there's a team to keep following in the future. We hadn't seen it before today. Let's continue, show us why we should continue to watch you guys in tournaments.
All right, so once again, we're going to find out here in just a few minutes who will be the victor. Outplayed by Children or Carry Squad. Outplayed by Children definitely, I think, is the favorite going into this matchup, and we'll be seeing how our new players here on Carry Squad face off against them with the gates opening in 5 seconds. It's Temple the Silent Storm, guys. We're starting the set. Let's open up our maps and check out the splits.
Splits are as follows. Looks like we're going to see Pow and Nos. He looks to be going raving back to the tempo. It's the same thing for Shadow Shooter on the other side. Look at this cross, though. We didn't see anyone but Puma's little sister heading towards the middle there. It's a 3-man cross so far from Sly the Sly, Polonium 210, and Vixie going towards that temple. And Powanos is going to have a little bit of trouble. He needs to call out for his friends for help.
Vixie immediately getting hit by the double fear there, but it will waste the cooldowns of both the Nightmare Runes as well as Reaper's Protection here. So Nos now open for the taking, but at the same time, good turnaround from a Candace, lowering more cooldowns. Nos throwing those condies onto Vixie here as well, immediately locking him down and bringing him out. And as well, we'll be seeing Sly bring a banner down here too. So already a lot being used, but Nos may run into some trouble. Just gets that heal off and jumps into DS. This fight will continue, but if it continues for much longer, we may see Nos fall into the downstate.
That's right, and Nos, that's exactly what happens to him as he is taking on so much pressure. He was joined by Zeus and the Candace. Oh no! The second they go down to Rez, he gets stomped out there, and we are seeing an immediate lead from this team here. Candace goes down as well. Stomp does not go through, however, he is in that Vapor form. Gets dropped right next to Sly on point. Polonium going down there for the extra deep. And there will be an immediate 2-cap for the side of Carry Squad here, but Shadow Shooter is in the downstate to OE, who's got us a mini stomp on him, and OE is going to grab that altar.
And indeed, OEG will take that 1v1 there. Very good build for 1v1s this one, especially again against Shadow Shooter. Did not have much Condi Cleanse to deal with a lot of that, so he's going to get pulled away. But OEG goes for the stealth pull. Does have to actually gets a nice interrupt off onto his own pry bar there as he saw the Berserker stance just at the last second on Pumas, but still to get up the point there for a few seconds. So now re-engage and keep this fight going. Wakey will join it as well, and this will cause some trouble for Puma's little sister.
Yeah, now Vixie got stomped out by Zeus. Zeus will join the fight over at Altar, man. And I like what we saw from the Carry Squad in the very beginning. I think that was a very smart play. Unfortunately, they were not able to sustain it going forward here, as the point lead for Carry Squad is just dwindling with every second, with every kill. They're slowly beginning to lose that edge.
There was very good execution on it. It's just that, again, we're now going to get thrown into a bunch of scenarios here where Carry Squad's going to get forced to 1v1 a lot of players, but I think they'll have issues doing so against. And as such, we are starting to see a lot of that fall apart. You already saw that back over at the blue team home node with Shadow Shooter taking on Ostrajex. Ostrajex took that matchup, and now we start to see that a little bit more here too going into the later parts of the game. Zeus at the moment, though, is pulled off mid temporarily versus Vixie, but you can see Zeus, very nice handling of the scenario here. Pulls out, tries to rotate around, is going for little tiny damage spikes on the Vixie here. Does manage to get away, but unfortunately is forced out of the mid fight because of that, but that's not going to mean too much though, as he'll be able to go over here and get some kind of counter and get some just a little bit of an eyesight onto Altar here while he's regenerating, and as soon as he's good to go, he'll just jump back into the mid fight. Very good rotation here by Zeus at the moment.
I'm loving it, man, but I also am loving what Nos and a Candace are throwing down over at Temple. They took out Polonium very easily, and now Sly the Sly is going to go down as well. Candace at one point was about probably 300 health around, and he was very easily able to stay alive and stomp through it, even though he had like a very small amount of health. Now Polonium off the respawn will decap on that altar. And in the middle here, we're going to see Outplayed, really outplaying their opponents. I get one of those per game.
Right now again is the outnumber. There's a lot of outnumbered scenarios here. Unfortunately, Carry Squad's got to be very, very careful here at the moment, just due to the fact that again they are kind of doing that thing where they just start to throw their guys at whatever points need help and hope that they can support enough to turn fights around. They can't do that. They're gonna have to pull back here, go for a reset, and then try to re-engage another fight. It's either that or hope they get lucky with a team fight, with kind of gimping someone in the middle of a team fight, which I honestly don't think they're gonna be able to do here.
Yeah, I'm watching the team fight at mid, like watching Vixie getting like thrown into the corner by Nasa Spears, watching everyone just really coordinated from Outplayed, and not so much so from the side of Carry Squad. It is very likely
Fly here in mid, getting absolutely destroyed by the Condis here. Unfortunately, you can just see that too. Very good team fighting by Red Team, just locking down targets left and right here. Puma's little sister is going to try to res, but she too, yep. You can just see that Corpse Thief coming out. Just going to decimate these guys over here on the blue squad, take him out, and now once again, this note should go back under a Red Team flag in just a second.
Now, the Red Team has lost all of the nodes, but they do have stillness, so once they grab all of that, assuming stillness is still up, they'll have the ability to get at least a 4 cap the second they get it. But oh no, check out everyone descending upon Temple right now, Blue. Ostrich Eggs and Wakey are joining the corpse of Zeus. Now Candace is coming in as well to sort of doing it, to jump into this fight. He's going to ride the lightning in, try and find some damage there. But it's going to be, it looks like he's going to go in on Polonium, who is in a lot of trouble as well. About a quarter health left on him. McCann is able to grab his, to really get him down there. SR coming through from the side of Vixie onto Polonium. Will he get up is the question.
In this fight specifically, I think they've taken way too much of a bait on trying to take down Wakey. They focused way too hard on that, and unfortunately, Wakey just had way too much support coverage there. There was a lot of peels going off on him, and unfortunately, due to that, Blue Team was just never really going to take him down. They kind of needed to change target in hopes of knocking out, I believe, Oegs, to be completely honest, might have been the more appropriate target there, but because of the fact that they just left a Candace and Oegs out in the open, they were able to easily spread their Condis around, and as you can see, it's taken its toll on the Blue Team.
Yeah, Blue is going to totally wipe here on Temple. They have managed to keep all three there throughout this, so this is sort of their saving grace here, and there is no capture in the middle yet. It's Nos who's over here with Zeus. They have managed to slide the Sly, and it is Puma's little sister who actually might get the cap if he doesn't get pulled. Oh, the magnet animation played through, but he was not pulled off. He must have had stability throughout there. And Puma's little sister did not get stopped just yet. He will on the next try, though.
A little bit of delay on that due to Zeus screwing with a body block, but they'll still get that. Not too much to note there. Meanwhile, though, Blue Team going to try to go for it all in on their home node. Unfortunately, though, the rest of Outplayed is also collapsing onto them, which will lead into a very large 3-on-3 that, again, if Blue Team does not win, is going to completely lock them down and possibly guarantee a double cap buff here for Outplayed by Children.
Red team
I think that, oh my god, with this is going to be incredibly bad for Carry Squad. Lots of just pressure everywhere on the map, and the 830 boss is going, and look who's already there, man.
Has appeared.
Yep, heading downstairs now. You've got Nos channeling. Blue Team, no one is in sight. No one is here. That's going to be a free triple cap. To be honest, though, in the current state of the fights, that's not the worst thing in the world, because they basically already had a 3 cap anyway here. Outplayed we're talking about at the moment. But what really matters now is Puma screwing up. They're unable to pierce through. Zeus had an arcane shield up back over here at the buff, and the triple channel was enough to guarantee him the channel at the top buff, now giving Outplayed by Children a 6 cap on this map. And this is, in all honesty, this may be GG.
Yeah, young Zeus pulling through for his team on that stillness, able to grab it. And the rest of his team is doing such a great job as well, but Wakey did go down over on Temple. Candace coming in for the vengeance, and Sly and just staying face down there, not quite able to get back up. Candace will actually, he might grab this cap as both players are locked down there on Temple there, Blue.
And then meanwhile, heading over to the temple itself, as we can see at the moment, it's Sly versus a Candace being a very annoying target for Sly to take down. Sly just biding his time, again with that Eviscerate build, waiting for the prime opportunity to get to connect that Eviscerate onto his opponent, but unfortunately just having so much trouble doing so, leading to just such a long and drawn-out battle here. Meanwhile, back over at the altar as well, you can see Shadow Shooter versus Oegs. If history repeats itself, Oegs should easily be able to defend this one, but there is going to be the Spirits giving him a little bit of pressure, so Oegs will be cutting around, but again, Oegs easily has his superior on-point pressure here, so Shadows will have to get off the point for a little bit.
Yeah, that pressure from the turret's too strong. He will leave his pet, but he's going to have to try and re-engage at a later time here. Unfortunately, time is something that his team does not have. As 425 to 143. They have broken
And
the 100 club.
In
but
just a second here, we're gonna see Outplayed re-solidify their 3-cap as well as Candace is gonna take out Sly. There is someone heading into mid. They'll actually decap that, so it'll stay at 2-cap for the time being. But to be honest here, Red Team has Carry Squad pretty much in a lockhold here at the moment. They've locked them down for a second time, knocked out 3 of their guys off the map here at the moment, so they can easily rotate back over here to mid. And unfortunately, at this point in the game, there's just not much Carry Squad can do. So I think we'll be seeing an Outplayed victory here in game 1.
I think. Well, I mean, we will be seeing it.
Yeah.
There's no.
That was however, that was not too bad, to be completely honest, for Carry Squad though. There was just, it really came down to the fights. They just need to be, the rotations were actually surprisingly good here for Carry Squad. A lot of it is coming down to their ability to just fight in smaller skirmishes better and kind of out counter their opponents with their rotations. The actual rotations themselves were fine. It was just that I think they were putting kind of the wrong people on the wrong nodes. So going into the second game on Forest, if they can adjust that a little bit, just change up their strategy, send a couple different people to a couple different places, I think that they can do a much, much better job.
Yeah. So going into this next game here, so we saw in the very beginning of this game, Carry Squad able to put on pressure, and their splits were great, up to the standard of Outplayed by Children. Their splits were their strategies. They had a clear goal, and they accomplished it. The problem was, once they got to where they wanted to be, they couldn't figure out where to go next. They couldn't figure out exactly how to get there either. Yeah. So what we need to see is make that we need to see them do is make that quick change, figure out what their mid-game strategy is immediately after the opener, and then commit to that.
So taking a look at kind of what we have here available for the blue team at the moment, some small changes that I think they can make. Their Ranger, Shadow Shooter, I don't think he should be going home personally. Him versus OEGS does not seem to be too good of a matchup. If they change that up slightly, send Sly over there towards that node, because Sly again has the Eviscerate, and if he can connect a couple of those onto OEGS, and as well, there's going to be a lot more on-point pressure versus OEGS, with Sly being there too on an Evis build because of Combustive Shot and things like that. I do think that he'll have a much better time trying to 1v1 that. At the same time too, if they end up moving their Ranger to another node fight, specifically one where there's a lot more players, he's going to be giving a lot more support because of the fact, and I think this is a switch up, he actually is kind of changing up his build here now too. If he brings out the Ultimate Spirit, that could be a pretty big boost to their fights too, because again, they were kind of lacking that. They seem to be having a little bit of trouble supporting each other, keeping each other up and running, and he has actually made that change now. So with that spirit in play, I think him heading over to the mid fights and the far fights is going to be much more beneficial to his team compared to just 1v1ing OEGS on home node. Now, if at the same time we could also see OEGS transferring to the team fights, which could kind of throw that whole thing off, but to be honest, again, Shadow Shooter is going to work a lot better with his teammates in a group than I think he is on his own in this scenario.
You know, I think that Shadow Shooter's changes. He changed. Yeah, so he changed back to that spirit. He had was the other.
The build's a little bit different here too. He's gone for 2 points into marksmanship and skirmishing instead of going for the 4 points into beast mastery that he had going here before. So it's a little bit of a different build. It does give him, again, as you can see here, it's going to give him a little bit more Condi damage and as well a little bit more defense through primal reflexes. But overall, will lead to, I think, a little bit better of playstyle here. I still think he could be going with the anti-Condi signet. That would be very good, as again, he definitely was struggling dealing with the Condi there, even though he does have empathic bond and things like that. But again, it's his choice there, and the passive region will be pretty good too for a long and sustained fight.
Yep, and I mean, just going forward, he's got to be in those fights, man. We saw him earlier in not the Apex game, but in the earlier match against All Your Base Belong to Us. He was sort of out of those team fights. He was a very 1v1 focused build. I think that he's, like, as we've been talking about, I think he's going to be far better off now in these team fights.
Yeah, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with him going for 1v1 focus. It's just that, to be honest here, I do think that Outplayed as individual players, I think is a little bit better than Carry Squad. So they're going to need to rely on each other a little bit more to kind of play out that weakness there. So with that said, moving him with the group is just going to be a better choice, especially again having the spirit of nature in play will be a huge change up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now we are waiting on the players to begin here, man. As we do this, is there, like, let's make predictions here. We're gonna see that 2-0, or we're gonna see that.
I think we'll see the 2-0 personally.
Yeah.
I think Outplayed will come out on top here. I think it'll be a much closer game, but I definitely still am pretty confident in Outplayed's ability to take this one.
The match starts.
Yeah, I think that my brain answer is 2-0. My heart answer is 2-1.
But we're going to find out here in
wanna
just a
see
few
Kylo,
seconds,
man.
Sire.
I just love Kylo.
Maybe your heart's wrong. Anyway. Going into the game here, gates opening up in 3 seconds. Outplayed by Children versus Carry Squad. Game 2, match point here for Outplayed by Children. We are in the forest of Niflhel, so let's open up our map. And Sire, tell us what's going on with the splits.
Well, there's no beach play other than ostrich eggs, and if you saw him, he actually tried to evade through this well, was able to do so. That was pretty clutch, actually. Polonium was not able to get as many condies, or any condies off on him at all. Like, period, always just dodging him. He actually is having trouble getting onto the point here. I'm hearing church bells in my microphone, so I'm going to go ahead and close my window, Blue. Why don't you go ahead and take over?
Heading in over here once more, we are going to see still Shadow Shooter hanging out here at the home point, which means, again, he will come under quite a bit of pressure due to the condies that Oasis is throwing on him, as well as Shadow Shooter's kind of inability to cleanse those, but we'll see how that pans out. The Necromancer here from the red team, Power Nos, is also going to come into play over here, too, which will cause some serious trouble, especially now that the Spirit of Nature Renewal has been brought into play. That'll get absolutely nuked down by condies, unfortunately, and this will once again leave Shadow Shooter in a rather weak position. Meanwhile, back in mid, however, we have seen the blue team make significant progress. Polonium is under some pressure from Zeus at the moment, so this is going to force him to fall back just due to Zeus's overall damage, but Polonium being up on top here, generally speaking, is still fairly safe. If Zeus wraps back around to try and go for him, though, he will have to be very careful of things like that. But overall, through the scope of the fight, just due to the superior on-point pressure, blue team is going to take the initial advantage back over here at mid, but the obvious rotation from the red team back over here to the henge will give them that point, and will still allow them to take the early 2-cap on this map. We are seeing now blue team, they're going to push back over here towards the mine and attempt to take that. Zeus actually being locked down pretty heavily in his attempt to escape away from middle here, but it seems he's managed to get away. You can see swirling winds out there too, and Vixie, his pressure has all but dissipated as he's now going to fall back over towards middle. It seems that blue team actually is going to try to go for a regroup now, and once again try to re-engage on another point a little bit later, as far point again is still going to be a fairly risky move considering currently who's on the board here for Outplayed.
Alright, I have returned, Blue, and I'm looking at the board right now, 96-44 with this 2-cap and the pinch fight. With Powernos the way he is, actually the way he's off point here with Zeus coming in, I think I'm liking this. Oh no, Shadow
Plague
Shooter
Stomp,
is...
but SR to counter out the Plague Stomp coming in here from Vixie once again, should be able to get Shadow Shooter back up, but at the same time, OX comes in there, puts way too much condies on a Vixie, and that'll now force him directly off the corpse and into the downstate over here in the corner.
Wow, double, like 2-for-1 deal.
Banner as well, just to note this too, we saw, sorry to interrupt again, but I think we saw Sly wasting the banner onto Shadow Shooter, and because of poison, it didn't fully res him back up. So again, that's a huge cooldown being wasted. He's only going to get to add out probably 1, 2, maybe even 3 times in this entire game, so having wasted it here is a huge miss. Yeah,
that's actually potentially game-ending, man. Like, the fact that they're going to get 3 kills now and just a secure... Everything is secure for red on this point. We will see that the cube is going to be having some aggression from Nos on it. Dixie is actually running up to the side here. May run right through. Nope.
He caught under the decap a little bit too late. He's going to try to get back up top, but I think he's too late, unfortunately. Not going to be able to catch that in time. So Nos will once again just wrap around the back and score the free decap. Blue team is heading in here, but again, it's a bit reckless at the moment here. They're heading into a fight that they're not going to be able to win. Nos is here, OX is here, and Candace is here. Puma's little sister is the tankiest player, but he's already low, so this is going to lead to another bad scenario here for Carry Squad. They need to reset, they need to get away, because right now they're just walking into their own deaths.
Yeah, with this, it's kind of like round peg, square hole. They just keep putting the same amount of thought. I don't know if they're actually coordinated with this or not, but they keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's just not working out for them. They have, however, gotten the full decap off, but with a Candace grabbing mid, with Wakey and Powernos or Nos rather on Shadow Shooter right now, they're gonna be just fine.
Yep, and once again here, we're going to see blue team funneled back over towards their home node. This will give red team very good maneuverability all over the map here at the moment. Back over here, once again, Powernos is just recapturing the mine. He's going to have no trouble getting that. And now red team has full visibility on every single player on the blue team, which is going to limit their options by quite a bit here. They're going to get funneled directly into a fight, and red team, to be honest, is going to be ready for that and will probably win it. So they are going to have to try and do something a little bit crazy here if they want to take an advantage.
I think we're going to see Zeus going up to spawn here. He's definitely going to grab that, the buff here,
SR
as well as the
from
points.
Carry Squad, though. Hold on. O-Eggs, hold on. O-Eggs getting a bit too aggressive. Pierces through the veil. Tries to go onto these guys. We don't actually see him. And there we go. Jumping onto the Chieftain with the FGS here too, but at the same time, most of blue team still stealthed up, so they might be able to gimp him. I know the tree's kind of blocking our point of view here, so let's jump onto Vixie and try to see as once again Vixie will attempt to kill the Chieftain kill, but who will get it? O-Eggs or Vixie? Wakey dives in there too, gets the interrupt off, but no! Vixie steals that one, and they're going to get the 25 points.
You know, Zeus did the exact same thing as a Candace did, engaging the forest creature with the FGS, but now Nas is going to grab his vengeance for Vixie stealing it, or maybe not. The turret is here to do the work for him.
Here's the thing that just happened here is that, again, we saw Outplayed getting a little bit reckless, in my opinion. They, again, went for that boss kind of for no good reason. They didn't really need that advantage or anything. But at the same time here, because they went for the boss, they still managed to knock out both Vixie and Polonium on other fights there. Vixie specifically in the boss fight. So even though they made a risky play and they ended up losing 2 caps, they're actually going to get this cap at the Henge back in just a few seconds, just due to the fact that they still managed to win smaller skirmishes. Blue team needs to be a little bit more careful with that sort of thing. They can't just go giving away their players like that, because they need to watch out. Hey, if this guy dies, we're now going to be out-rotated over here. We're now going to be completely outnumbered, and this is going to lead to us losing the point. They need to be a little bit more preservative with their player bases. Right now, they're just tossing guys into fights and losing them, and that's just snowballing into more losses.
You know what I think is going on with Carry Squad is I think that they're all in TS and they're all just screaming at each other. I think that, you know, they're taking the first loss to heart, and they're not able to get their mindset back in the competitive, you know, the competitive framework of, okay, well, let's just fix this problem and continue on.
You're just seeing over here too, back at the Henge.
Yeah,
3 players in a row, all going to get knocked out there. You can see a Candace, O-Eggs, as well as Nos there, just locking them all down with Condis, knocking them out of play. This will force blue team back, that blue team that's still up and in play, back over here towards the mid to defend the only point they have. But once more, red team has full lockdown on this map, and there's not going to be much that the blue team can do other than this right now. So they're in a very predictable pattern, and red team will have the advantage of the next fights, which it's not looking good for them.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting going forward here. Paunos versus Zeus. Can they get the 3 cap? Is the interesting question. But you know, they're only behind 178 points. If with correct forest creature control and a 3 cap, which seems to be incredibly unlikely, Carry Squad could in theory do this. But with the play that we're seeing,
it's very hard, because here's the thing in general is that again, neither of these teams, we talked about this at the start of the set, neither of these teams has a Guardian, but personally, blue team's comp relies very much more on the ability for the team to work together, whereas the red team, and this has happened in a few other sets too, red team has a lot of players that can work quite fine on their own. A Candace on a DDL, he can do fine in a 1v1. Shadow Shooter, not so much. He needs some more support there in order to get the damage necessary to poke through someone and take them completely out of play. And that translates into a couple other matchups as well. With a lot of those different advantages coming into play for Outplayed, it does make it extremely hard for them to just in general get a matchup on smaller node fights. They have to push big fights, and even in those big fights itself, without a Guardian, blue team is lacking a lot of support needed to carry through the fight.
Yeah, that's right. Without that support, they're actually being able, like, red team is very effectively pulling them apart and taking the advantage. Like,
they're playing to the largest strength. They're splitting them all up into the matches where they have an advantage, like you see over here. Vixie versus a Candace. Generally speaking, a Candace has an advantage, but Vixie's actually doing very well in it right now here. And that's just happening all over the map at the moment, and because of that, obviously, we're seeing Outplay just take pretty much every single fight.
Yeah, and look at the beach right now, Blue. It's just like a 1v1, or a whole bunch of, like, it's like a standard...
A little bit of a dogfight
match. Yeah. 502-237 is the final score there, Blue. And we're going to see Outplayed by Children taking it 2-0, as we predicted, over Carry Squad. And they will be qualified.
Yep. And that means we do have our 2 teams that are qualifying once again for ToL, which means we're now up to 6 out of the 8 teams that'll be headed into the North American Tournament of Legends 2 finals. Once again today we had Apex and Outplayed by Children were the 2 teams that qualified, and as such they'll be heading to the finals at the end of August. We still have 2 more teams to find out who they will be. You'll have to tune in next weekend, however, at the Qualifier 4, which will be next Sunday at the same exact time. But we are not done yet today. We still have the 2nd and 3rd place game to play, which will be between Carry Squad and Sharks with Lasers.
Alright, so we're going to see some Some interesting third and fourth place action coming up on the Battle of Kylo. Don't go anywhere. We're going to give away some stuff as we come back right after this.
Alright guys, we'll be back in just a few with the continuation and finale of the Guild Wars 2 Tournament of Legends 2 Qualifier 3 North American stream. Be right back, guys. It's a very long title for a stream.